Hey, it's Jim from CGC Sports Illustrated. I always get a lot of questions from people that are just kind of getting started off in this hobby, like, what issues should I collect of graded Sports Illustrateds and that sort of thing. So I thought I'd do a video, talk a little bit about that, and show you some examples of some raw issues that I'm going to be sending out to CGC to have them graded. First things first, newsstand issues. Don't mess with subscription issues. I've talked plenty about why that is. Subscription issues are really not all that collectible because there's just too many of them out there. Focus exclusively on newsstand issues. Beyond that is, I think the old adage, collect what you like, is still applicable as it relates to Sports Illustrateds. But I'll go through some of mine that I'm going to be sending out to CGC here and talk about them a little bit as to why they're collectible and why I like them. Pretty obvious here on number one. This is Kobe Bryant's first Sports Illustrated issue. This is from 1996, or 1998 rather. It's Kobe. It's his first cover. But what I love about this one makes it even better. Magic Johnson's on the cover. This is just such a great issue. I think I have a couple of these at CGC right now being graded, but got my hands on a couple more raw issues and I'll be sending them out soon. This one's got kind of a pretty nasty spine tick that breaks color. You can see it right there. But that should come back. This should be about an 8.5. So that one's a fun one. I love this one. Guys, sorry about this. So I always put all the information about my issue on a little sticky note on top of the bag. So that's why you see all those yellow notes on top of my bags. I'll pull them off here as we go through. Love this. This is David Robinson's very first Sports Illustrated issue. Very, very rare. Not many of these out there. This is from 1986, November 1986. He's one of the 50 greatest basketball players of all time, Hall of Famer, just amazing. And I love him in that Navy uniform, which, of course, if you don't remember, that's where he went and played his college before he went to the Spurs. Great cover there. That one, I'm thinking that one should probably get a 9.0. It's going to be really nice. Peyton Manning's first cover, such a fun cover. This one's from 1996, and what I love about this is his dad's Sports Illustrated. This is the first time his dad was on a Sports Illustrated, and they've kind of cut it in half, and that's the top half of his Sports Illustrated that they used as the bottom half of Peyton's first Sports Illustrated. This should do about a 9.2, maybe a 9.4. Love that one. I've had one before, but sold it, so it'll be nice to get a first Peyton Manning back in action again. Here's Gronk's first cover. Love this. This is from 2012. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. This is pretty interesting. You guys know I've been like a broken record with this lately. Collecting graded Sports Illustrateds is really a combination of sports card collecting and comic book collecting. One of the big things in comic book collecting is what's called variants. And so this is where they'll have a comic book that has multiple or, different variants of covers available. Been really popular. Some of those variants become really, really collectible. Sports Illustrated about 20 or 30 years ago started producing variant covers. Now they did this mostly on a regional basis. So if the San Francisco Giants won the World Series, they'd produce a Sports Illustrated cover for kind of the West Coast where it would be featuring the San Francisco Giants winning the World Series. And then the rest of the country may get, who knows, Patrick Ewing on the cover or something like that. This first Gronk cover from 2012 is a variant. I can't recall what the others are, but there was some other, this was produced and distributed, in the eastern part of the U.S. because he was playing with the Patriots, and then the rest of the country got something else. So that makes this issue a lot more rare. Eventually, I'm going to do an entire podcast about Sports Illustrated variants, but there's a lot of really key ones out there and just something to kind of keep in mind, especially if it's a big athlete's first cover like Gronk and it's a variant. All of a sudden there's not many copies of that in existence out there, and this is the case with Gronk's first cover. That's a fun one. Really like that one a lot. Similar to sports cards and comic books, everybody wants, every athlete's first appearance. And when you can't get that, or if you do have that, kind of the next collectible one is their second appearance. So that's what I've got here. This is Paul Hornung's second cover from 1966 and the Green Bay Packers. So I love that one a lot. Love my vintage issues. This one took me forever. So this is Walter Payton's very first Sports Illustrated cover from 1976. Took me forever to find a newsstand copy in any condition of this issue. I had bought several off of eBay that were, marketed as newsstand, got them in my hands, and it turned out, so, they were definitely subscription issues. But finally got a newsstand edition. This one's not in great shape. If I zoom in here, you can kind of see it's got a bend that goes all the way from the top to the bottom and breaks color. It's got a number of other problems. Spine's a little rough. I got some staple tears and spine ticks. This is probably only a 5.0 to 6.0, but it's Walter Payton. Really, really tough to find those, and they're a lot of fun. Every now and then, I'll buy a magazine that's not a Sports Illustrated issue, especially if it's got a big star on the cover, and I found this gem. This is just great. This is Joe Namath and his first appearance on Time magazine. This is from 1972. I've talked before, I don't care as much for the artist rendering and caricatures of athletes. I'd prefer a photo, but still think this one is pretty cool. 1972, Joe Namath's first Time magazine cover, so that one's going to be fun. Man, Tyson was everything to me in the 80s, and his Sports Illustrateds are really hard to find in newsstand issues. So trying to beef up my Mike Tyson collection would kill for one of his first covers from 1986. I think this is his second or third cover. This is from 1987. Really clean issue. I think this is probably a 9.0 on that Tyson. Here we go, another one that is not a Sports Illustrated. So this is a Newsweek from January 25th, 1982. It was right before the Super Bowl where the Bengals were playing the 49ers. It was Joe Montana's first Super Bowl, first of 4 Super Bowls that he won. Again, pretty interesting. I really don't collect other magazines unless they have a big superstar on the cover. Montana's a big deal. This is Joe Montana's first cover on Newsweek. By the way, this issue, clean. Oh my gosh, this is so clean. I mean, look at that spine. Let's see if I can get a better focus here. I mean, there's a small little spine tick that breaks a little bit of color there. There's a little one there. Couple others. But man, those are pretty small. I think this is a 9.2 or a 9.4, so that's going to be a lot of fun to get back. Here's another Kobe. This is always such a great cover. Kobe and Shaq from 2001. This is Kobe's 4th or 5th cover, I think, of Sports Illustrated, but probably his second most collectible after his first with Magic. I got several copies of this, a couple of them at CGC right now. It's got some issues. It's probably an 8.0 or an 8.5 rather, or a 9.0, but pretty interesting issue. Kind of starting to dip my toe in the water of swimsuit issues. I've got one modern issue graded. I've got several other vintage issues right now at CGC. This is just a fun one. It's from 1972. That's Sheila Orozco. That's her first Sports Illustrated cover. Decent shape. I mean, I've got some spine problems and some dirt problems and some other things on this. I think this is probably about a 6.5, but a great issue. Finally found my copy of this. So this is Larry Bird's second cover. Have never been able to get my hands on a good condition copy, a newsstand copy of his first cover. So you go to the second cover. It's when he was with Indiana State. It's from 1979. It's in okay shape, for as old as it is. I mean, this is probably a 5.5 when it gets graded, but I don't care. Needed a copy of it in any condition. Back to Joe Montana and a non-Sports Illustrated from 1982. So this is Time magazine. This is Montana's first Time magazine cover. So I'll have Joe Montana's first Sports Illustrated, first Newsweek, and first Time magazine covers, all from 1982, right around the time they won the first Super Bowl. Really a clean cover. Got a couple spine ticks that break color, but other than that, really, really great condition. Just a great shot of Joe and his face and the helmet and all that stuff. This is probably a 9.0. Really, really nice cover. Here's one where I do have the first cover of a big superstar. So, been really fortunate. I probably own 3 or 4 of these. I've got one graded in an 8.5. I've got this one raw, and I know I've got 2 others at CGC being graded right now. I've been real fortunate to find a lot of newsstand copies of Gretzky's first cover. It's from 1981. This is probably a 7.0, maybe a 7.5. Got a bunch of issues with it, but still a really solid one. And man, I did love that 80s haircut on Wayno there. I mean, that hard center part and the wavy mullet screams 80s, and I love that. You know, this is an interesting one. This is LeBron's second issue from 2003. There's been a ton of these graded. I mean, a ton. I think like over 100. I've never seen one of these for sale. Never seen LeBron's second issue graded for sale. This one's okay. I mean, probably going to do a 9.2, 9.0, somewhere in that range. Not really good for a modern issue that's, you know, less than 20 years old, but it's LeBron's second cover, and so it's going to be highly collectible no matter what. So excited about that. First time I've ever had one of those. I love this one. Love this issue right here. So again, don't go off of Sports Illustrated very often. I think this is the only copy of Sport magazine that I own. But this is Dr. J. This is his first cover from March in 1975, and I am a sucker for Dr. J and those ABA uniforms and that red, white, and blue ball. So this is before the ABA-NBA merger, when he played for the New Jersey Nets. It's just great. He's got that Nets uniform on. He's got the red, white, and blue ball. It's obviously, you know, a studio shot with him in scrubs playing on the whole Dr. J thing. I love this issue. Not in great shape. It's probably maybe a 7.5, maybe an 8.0, but it's from 1975, and I love those ABA uniforms and that ball and all of that. And so that's a fun one with Dr. J that'll be going out here real soon. Like this one, this is Joe Theismann's second cover, back when he was with Notre Dame, so this is from 1971. Again, not great shape, got a lot of spine issues. I mean, you may be able to see him there. I mean, some rough issues there. This is probably a 7.0, but decent copy for his second issue. Another second issue. This is a lot of these second issues. So this is Shaq. This is his first pro cover and his second one overall. Low population count. There's just not a lot of these out there. And this is in really good condition. I think this is probably a 9.4 to a 9.6. There's one 9.8 in existence. So I'm happy to send this one out and excited to get it back. This is Shaq's first pro cover, second cover overall from 1992, about to go out. Lots of second covers we're talking about. This is Tiger's second cover. This is from 1998. The highest graded copy of this one in existence right now is a 9.6. I think this one is either a 9.4 or a 9.6. But that's Tiger's second cover from 1998. Another second cover. Here's Magic Johnson, back when he was with Michigan State. Again, similar to Larry Bird. I've never found that Larry Bird rookie cover. I've never found that Magic Johnson rookie cover. So next best thing, going after the second covers of each of them. It's from April 1979. Not in good shape. I mean, this is maybe a 5. If you guys see that right there. Whole top corner's torn off on it. But still collectible because it's Magic Johnson and it's one of his really collectible issues. It's really, really tough to find. There's just not that many out there. I tell you what, this is one of my absolute favorites and an absolute underrated issue. This is Dennis Rodman's first Sports Illustrated cover from May 1995. So he would have technically been on the San Antonio Spurs at that point in time. It was right before he got picked up by the Chicago Bulls and they went on that big three-peat run. But this is an amazing cover. Really, really difficult to find in newsstand. I mean, you've got him wearing, you know, whatever the hell that is Dennis is wearing. He's got the earrings and the piercings everywhere, the red hair, the big parrot on his arm. Very, very rare, very, very difficult to find this issue in any condition, and I'm predicting that this is a 9.6 or a 9.8 that I'm going to get back. So, you know, that's just kind of an overview of some issues that I've been focusing on lately and some things I'm collecting and going to be sending into CGC in the next, you know, month or two here. I've got a whole bunch of others out there, but hopefully that'll kind of give you an idea of what I look at when I collect issues. You know, stay with newsstand issues, stick with big superstars, try and get their you know, first cover, and if you can't, try for their second cover. And then, you know, I just like collect stuff that just looks cool. That's a big part of it too, and stuff that I find interesting. Guys, if you haven't followed me on social media yet, you can do that. Just search CGC Sports Illustrated on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook groups and all that other stuff. Like, comment, subscribe here on YouTube, and we'll do it again soon. Thanks, everybody.